And nobody will have anything on you. I don't think so. It's a good conversation. Prime Minister.
Big smile goes one. Right there, flash. Amelia flash.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, you're all very welcome here tonight. It's just absolutely fantastic to see so many old faces. Some people say it's like Jurassic Park. But I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to all go in. The exhibition is going to be opened now in a second by our president, His Eminence Mr. Alan Perkins. And then we go in there for about 15 to 20 minutes. We go in there for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then we come back in here, and there's a series of videos, some light refreshments, and maybe a few old stories as well. Okay? So would you like to just follow us through here so Alan can open the exhibition?
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back in here into the lounge because we've got a few videos to show you, okay?
Excuse me, out of the shop. Out of the shop. Locked up the shop.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, the exhibition. The exhibition will be open for those who would like to spend more time in there. It'll be open on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night from 8:30 to 11:30. So if you want to see it in more detail, you're very welcome to come at that stage. Now, can we have a bit of cuteness for a second? I'll just explain what's going to happen. Now, Paddy Dunn is going to start off the night in a minute. He's going to give a history of the club, a brief history of the club, up to when we leave Trafalgar Road. There are 5 videos that we've all put together. The first one is of Trafalgar Road. The second one is of the development of the opening day here of the new club. And we take a break after that for some light refreshments. And then there are 3 shorter videos, one of this South Leinster, one of the Anglo-Irish Bank Day Cup, and a final one featuring the men's Class 1 team winning the first ever time I think they've won the Class 1 event in the DLTC. So we'll start off now with one of the all-time greats. Even Jack McVitie said he was an all-time great many years ago, Mr. Paddy Dunn.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, friends. Art said earlier this was a bit like Jurassic Park, and looking around I just feel that way, I'll tell you that. A couple of months ago, when I got a phone call that the club are going to have a nostalgia night, I said, what? You know, what's it all about? Seeing all the faces tonight, I know why we're here, because it's really a sentimental journey for most of us, and a learning experience for the newer members. But looking around, most of us are here for quite a while, so it's going to be more of a sentimental journey. I know that Americans or foreigners spend years looking for their roots. They travel over here, they search, they find. But tonight, thanks to a group of people, all we have to do is walk inside and find the roots of this tennis club. What we're going to do is give you a sort of a light-hearted approach to the history of the club. And when you leave here and go out tonight, I hope that you're going to feel proud to be associated with Greystones Lawn Tennis Club. That's the ambition of the evening, and that's why it's been put together. It's great to see so many old friends, and I better not use that word old again. Art said to me, he said, Paddy, he said, no, I won't slag Art. He said, Paddy, he said, the club goes back 113 years. Would you do the first 100 and I'll do the last 13? Now, I could talk to you for a long time, but I'm not going to. There are lots of stories we could relate, but I'm not going to tell them. Well, maybe 1 or 2, because a few people here might be interested in them. I think I'll move straight on and take you from as far back as I can remember. And that's not 1893, when the records show the club started. The first accounts we have were in 1897. And at that stage, we had honourable gentlemen playing. No, Art, I do not go back to 1897. You're all right. As far back as I can remember, and I don't know why I'm standing here, because I'm not the longest serving living member. That honour goes to a gentleman in the centre here, Peter Bateman, 5 years longer than me. Peter told me earlier he's now a member of the club 51 consecutive years. But Peter and I, we started in the 1950s. Did I say 50s? Yeah, 50s. At the time, the tennis club consisted of 3 grass courts, which were located right beside the existing rugby club pavilion, to the right-hand side of the rugby club pavilion. Now, in those days, the club was so small, it was unbelievable. We had about 14 current members. Peter and I used to go out and mark the courts with a marker, and it was great fun, I can tell you that. Before I came down tonight, I was sort of thinking to myself, what's my oldest memory? And it goes back to around 1957. There was a committee meeting, 58, in the Bateman household down at the harbour, railway station. And we were sitting there in the front room, and there was a massive argument. I remember this so clearly because I was only a young, innocent teenager at the time. And the argument was because the treasurer wanted to increase the annual sub by 100%. 100%. From the massive figure of £1.50 to £3, which would equate to about €3.81 by today's standards. And that was for our annual sub, which was obviously then from June to September, because being grass courts, we could only play for the 3 months. We used to rent the old rugby club pavilion, which was situated about 100 metres to the left of the current pavilion. We rented that for, I think it was £10 from June to September, and the gentlemen used the home dressing room, the ladies, the visitors. Will I tell a story? Being a galvanised structure as it was prone to corrosion, or a lot of holes in the galvanised. So on the odd occasion that a lady would have a shower, there was a mass exodus of the males from the tennis club to the clubhouse, just to have a little education as teenagers. One of the greatest proponents of that exodus just walked into this room about 5 minutes ago. I'm not going to name him because he would be massively embarrassed, but he's not standing too far away from me. Anyhow, moving swiftly onward, we had a wonderful time down there, and everything went swimmingly well. We were just one happy family. Some of the committee members of the old club, that's a little bit before my time, around 1900, thereabouts. We dug up that photograph for you. Moving onwards, the the members in the early 1900s.
Is that me left back there, Paddy?
No, Binkley, we'll come to you in a second. The accounts at the time in the Toastal Tournament of 1956, and the committee for 1957. And you'll see the Bateman name featuring prominently there. 2 of Peter's sisters were involved, and I was hoping to play one in mixed doubles tonight, but it didn't happen. Peter, unfortunately, said he's injured. A dance. Speaking of a dance, I remember, again, when I was a teenager, Valentine's night. Somebody said a great night to have a dance. And we hired Tommy Hayden and the R-Tones. And Bunty would know all about Tommy Hayden. Massive expense, £25 for the band. 7-piece band. Down in the old Woodlands Hotel. The tickets were 5 shillings. By 10:30, the band were playing Merrily Away, and we had 4 people in the hall. Facing a massive loss, Peter said, we've got to do something about this. So we went down to the swimming club and hired their megaphone. We toured around Greystones with the megaphone out the window of the car, giving a magnificent Valentine's dance for 2 shillings. By midnight, the place was packed, and we covered ourselves. Wrong button. Okay, we'll move past that one. There are familiar faces in there. 1964, we were playing on a hot July afternoon down at the old club when this very tall figure dressed in black came walking through the long grass. He was the then parish priest of Greystones, the late Canon Fennelly. He asked for who was in charge, and I think it was the late Breda Reynolds. She was treasurer of the club at the time, met him. And I remember his words. He said, "Do you guys want new courts?" We said, "Pardon? Would you like to have new tennis courts?" Of course, we said, "Yes." So, cutting it short, basically what had happened was a dear lady of the parish, a Mrs. O'Keefe, who owned land opposite the Latouche Hotel, wanted to donate that field for the good of the parish and had approached Canon Fennelly offering it to him. He in turn went down to the manager of the Latouche Hotel, David Fitzgerald at the time, and the Davy family who owned the hotel, and said, "Look, this is what I've been offered, what do you suggest?" They were wise old owls, and they said, "Okay, tennis courts would be great." So they got onto Board Fáilte and the County Council, and again, moving swiftly forward between the hotel, the council, and Board Fáilte. Board Fáilte put up £9,600 and built the old tennis club in Trafalgar Road, which we moved into in August 1965. At the time we had 5 courts, and we said, "My God, we'll never need more than 5 courts." 2 grass courts, 3 hard courts. The grass courts lasted 4 months. They became hard. The club grew. It started then to grow very rapidly. And in 1976, we had our first development, which was to change the surface of Court 3 to a porous concrete or tennis creek surface and floodlighted. That was a big development at the time. But prior to that, some of us said, "Well, why not have an open tournament?" And we said, "Okay." We went to the ILTA, and they said, "Well, we'll give you a title of the Hardcourt Championships of South Leinster." And we said, "Oh, great. We'll run it over a week." So in 1966, we started. I think we had 10 entries in the men's singles. The late Irish Times correspondent, Vera McQueenie, came down and said, "You know," she said, "this isn't on." We said, "What isn't on?" "Greystones, you're so far out from town, and you're having the players play in the evening. They don't finish work, they don't get down here. Why don't you have it over a weekend?" So we said, great idea. But we didn't. For 13 years. Until 1979, when it was resurrected and has been going from strength to strength ever since. But in 76, when we installed the new hardcourt, we thought we were absolutely wonderful. And then in 1982, the club made a massive decision. We wanted to resurface all the courts. We wanted to floodlight all the courts. And we held an annual general meeting. I remember it so well as if it was yesterday. There was war at that meeting, absolute war. But eventually, thank goodness, the vote was passed by 3 votes in favour of resurfacing the courts, which we did in 1982. And there you have them, the 5 courts, as you would most of us remember, in 1982. From then on, it's history. We know what happened basically in the last 10, 15 years. But to me, the old club, it was a family at the time, and that has grown beyond all proportions now from those 10 members way back when I joined to, 1,700 we have now. I believe we've had 17 international players from the tennis club. We've had at least 10 marriages from the club. And God knows how many relationships. We won't go down that road. Thanks, Adam. Anyhow, I'm going to close now because there's a lot more to come and the videos are entertaining. You're going to see a lot of old faces there and there'll be a lot of oohs and ahs. Look at her 20 years ago. And all of that. But before I close, I just would like to pay special tribute, not alone to Marie McCooey, Sheena Gogarty for spearheading the night tonight and giving us all this fun that we're going to have, but especially to past members, those who are here and those who are not with us, both relatives and friends of those who are here tonight. Because without them, we wouldn't be here. They gave so much of their time and effort. I know how much. And I'd like to pay special tribute to those people. I know it's always difficult to single out any individual who's contributed to the club and made it what it is today. But there is one man here in the room tonight, and I know how much work he's put in. He has been honoured before. I know you all know how much he's done, but I can't emphasise the amount of work he did put in voluntarily. And one lady, and I'm asking you to put your hands together and thank Tim Hazelton and Joe O'Connor for all the work they've done. Before I close, ladies, did you know 25 years ago there was a competition here among the ladies to ascertain what male member of the club had the sexiest legs? Any ideas who that might be? No. Ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce you to, you can ask him to show them if you like. He's here in person, and I'll hand over to him, Art Grimes.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the one year that Paddy didn't actually mention was 1966. And of course that was the year that England won the World Cup. It was the 50th anniversary of the Easter Rising. It was the first year that Star Trek was shown on television. It was the first year that an unmanned mission landed on the moon. Manuel Santana won the men's singles. Billie Jean King won the ladies' singles. But all this pales into insignificance, because the winner of the men's singles in 1966 in Greystones Tennis Club was one Paddy Dunn.